Hi, welcome back to the Primal Lifestyle. And here is my regular friend George, who's going to talk about his raw meat experience. So, obviously, I did a week and a bit of raw meat, although I'm still doing raw meat. I'm sort of blending it in with what I'm doing. You picked up on that, George, and you decided to go down that route. So, do you want to share your experience?
I do actually. It's been a very positive experience. So you're to blame. We did a long interview, an hour long interview back in May, and you put the idea into my head because of the interview that you did with the raw carnivore, Jacob McAteer. And you
Yeah.
asked me, do you want to do it with me, George? I said, no, I'm very lukewarm about it. When you started there, I decided, yeah, I'll support Carl. So I started off with 2 raw steaks a week. Found it was no problem, so I doubled it up to 4, then up to 8, and I'm now eating Monday to Friday 10 raw steaks every week, 2 a day. Now, the only reason I'm not continuing that at the weekend is because Lainey has banned me from eating raw meat in the house on account of the fact that the idea grosses her out. So we eat primarily at the weekend, but we actually do have top quality cooked meat at the weekend. So yeah, finding it absolutely amazing. It's really, I love the texture. To be detailed, I eat a 300-gram lamb leg steak every morning. This is the first thing which I eat. And then I back that up with either a ribeye, sirloin, or rump beefsteak about lunchtime. And then when I get home, I usually have a packet of chorizo or salami, carnivore junk food, and that's my regular eating pattern now, and it works really well. So
So,
yeah, it's possible.
it's interesting because obviously when I did it, I'd been pretty much fairly rigid carnivore for 12 months. So I thought I'd go straight into it. And by day 4, my microbiome was not happy. It was too much. So I then had to take a step back, allow a few days to sell, and then carry on to do it. And I've now introduced raw into my diet. I just don't eat it 100% of the time. I would say I'm 60-40, raw being 40%. Although you're right about the taste. So you did it slightly different to me. You did that gradual build up. And did you have any issues like I had by doing the gradual method?
None at all. Straight away, I noticed it was an actual improvement, to be perfectly honest with you. Now, just to go back to my own carnivore story, as you know, I describe myself as the accidental carnivore. So I transitioned very slowly through 18 months before becoming full carnivore, although I still drink alcohol. So perhaps we should call me on the Banting diet rather than the carnivore diet, because William Banting famously
Right.
used to drink
Explain
quite a lot
about
of
William
alcohol.
Banting for people that don't
I,
know.
Right. Okay. So William Banting was a 19th century undertaker in London, a very famous undertaker because he did the royal funerals. And at the age of 65, he was extraordinarily overweight and had type 2 diabetes. But his doctor, Dr. William Harvey, attended a Paris conference and learnt about the low carb approach towards reversing type 2 diabetes and also the dealing with corpulence, as they called it back in those days. Obesity is what we call it now. So William Harvey put William Banting on a very low carb diet, but he also included a bottle of wine and a large tumbler of spirits a day. William Banting also rode on the Thames, and on this Banting diet, he achieved amazing results. Lost nearly all his fat, and also he cured his deafness because the Dr. Harvey was an ear, nose, throat specialist and suspected that obesity was the reason why he was going deaf. So he was so motivated by this that he actually wrote, I think, a treatise or a letter on corpulence, which he self-published for free to begin with. But then it became so popular that he actually had to charge for the next ones. You can look him up on the interweb. Just put in William Banting corpulence or something like that, and you'll find all that you need to know.
So that's really handy to know because a lot of people make out that the carnivore diet is some fad, when actually it's been over 100 years. It's been done. I mean, if you take it, some people say it's been going on for 2 millennium because of obviously how we used to eat archery way.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
But being recorded as such by William Banting, it's not a fad. It's actually much older than vegetarianism or veganism and
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
that.
Obviously, he wasn't a strict carnivore because of the alcohol, and also he used to eat dried toast, which is a bit bizarre. But they probably just didn't understand the carbohydrates like we do nowadays. but he was definitely a very low carb, and he had massive success and lived, I think, to the age of 82, which so he had 17 years of success on it. 82
Well, they
wasn't a
used to
bad
think
age
the
back
world
in.
was flat. They used to think the world was flat and that the sun revolved around the world. So it just shows you what,
Exactly,
what
yeah.
people used to think to what they should be thinking now. So
Yeah, I'm afraid that the carbohydrate gang are pretty much flat earthers, aren't they? So in terms of nutrition.
that's your opinion. I'm not getting into. I don't want the hate coming from me on that one.
Yeah,
Thank you very
absolutely. Yeah,
much.
sorry. In my opinion, that's a good analogy. Which yeah, I'll stand by that.
Yeah. So obviously you gradually came into raw. You've obviously found, and I agree with you, the taste of raw meat is far superior than any cooked. I mean, I do like the crunch of a sear every now and then. That's part of the reason why I'm sort of split. But what kind of do you feel added benefits you've got from going raw?
Right. The first thing is gut health. Absolutely, because I was mainly eating, as I told you in our last, I was mainly eating minced beef or air fried minced beef, ground beef for our American friends, and I wasn't having any serious gut issues. But basically, I was going, I was visiting the toilet maybe once a day, and the on the Bristol stool scale, I was registering a 6, which is not quite liquid, but not far off it. There was no pain involved. It wasn't diarrhea. It was, as our friend Cora says, it was whoosh and it's gone. So that was no problem. But one thing I have noticed now is that I am reduced to 3 to 4 visits to the bathroom for that purpose a week, and I am now registering 4 mostly on the Bristol scale, which is, according to Zoe Harkham, in the sweet spot. So that is, and absolutely, there's no gut pain, nothing at all. I feel, yeah, I just feel great in the intestinal area all the time now, without fail. So that's one major.
One of your earlier conditions was IBS, wasn't it? You
It
had
was,
IBS
yeah. When I cut
when
out
you.
all fibre, that was an instant relief of that. And then, I was eating the very fatty minced beef, and I was getting the number 6 on the Bristol scale response about 6 times a week, maybe. Now I'm on the raw, and I'm registering 3 to 4 visits, as I said, and it's on the Bristol scale. It is in the correct place. So absolutely no IBS, no flatulence, no bloating, no constipation. Happy days.
So obviously, in terms of percentage, as I said, I'm 60-40, 60 carnivore ish, and
Yeah,
then 40% raw. What sort of percentage are you working at now
probably the
towards?
reverse of you. I'm probably 60% raw, 10 steaks a week, 40% cooked foods, because I eat cooked food. I eat the salami and chorizo in the evening. They're processed meats. They're not perfect. Please don't red carb me for those. They are pretty good carnivore. And then, for example, last night I came home from work, and that's when myself and Lainey sit down to our main meal of the week, in fact. And last night that was massive pork chops, and there were so many that we'll be having those again today. And then tomorrow probably something like lamb chops, or maybe some beef or venison, not venison, veal, I meant to say, or something along those lines. And then on Monday it's back to the raw meat protocol again. So that is the way that I now eat. That I am much more, I've tweaked my diet so much, and I'm much more in a routine now, because when I did my first interview with Larry, Carnivore Soldier, last year, I was eating chicken thighs, I was eating all sorts of stuff, and I was eating eggs. I don't eat eggs anymore because I've got a problem, I think, the histamine problem with the white. And I was eating smoked
Right.
mackerel, which I don't anymore because I get the omega-3 that I need from the lamb. So yeah, and it's changed a lot since then. Oh, and a quick word on Larry, by the way, everybody. If anybody's wondering where Carnivore Soldier has gone, I had to register a missing report with the Carnivore Police. And Chief Inspector Laney of the Carnivore Police got on the job and tracked him down via Facebook, and basically said, "Look, George is really worried about. Well, would you kindly just let him know you're okay?" So Larry, on my birthday, actually, it was September the 2nd, WhatsApped me and said, "Brother, I'm fine." He said, "I feel my channel has run its course and I won't be coming back." He said he might put on a farewell video, but he hasn't done so yet. I tried to plead with him, basically, and said, and appeal to the soldier in him. And I said, "Your country needs you." I sent him the picture of Kitchener, but I think it's definitely a case of Carnivore Soldier out, because he hasn't even got back to me on that one. So yeah, it's personally devastating for me on account of the fact that I'm a veteran. He was my very first friend in the carnivore world over in Texas. and then along came Lauren, and then yourself. So yeah, I'm sad, very, very sad. However, the good news I can give is that John Laspine, the carnivore teacher, when he heard that Larry wasn't coming back, then he's taken up the Wednesday night slot. With Larry used to have hump day meet up, and John and Christy and DC and Rick, Charge and Mopar, they have put together Wednesday night school. So I can highly recommend that if anybody hasn't seen it. I think Nia's Way is on it as well. And I think you can get on, I think they all post it on their channel. So anybody who's following any of those channels does have access to Wednesday night school.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the update. You know, and I wish Larry well. He's a top bloke and got a huge amount of time for Larry. So I can understand, because doing these channels can be so time consuming and absorbing, and that he used to churn out a lot of material. So, you know, he may have a bit of burnout at the moment, but, you know, fingers crossed, hope everything's going well with you, Larry, and hope to touch base with you soon. So appreciate you for the update on that one, George. So obviously the raw's doing, you're an advocate for the benefits of eating raw. You're saying to people, give it a go.
No, I don't give that sort of advice. All I'm doing is saying that my own personal experience, which was inspired by you, has been very, very positive. It's up to you folks whether you want to try it. There are some people who are interested out there. There's no question about that. I've had in our YouTube community, I've had a few fellow carnivores ask me about it, or no, but I wouldn't recommend it because it does come with certain risks. Yeah, but I wouldn't recommend it. But what I can say is I'm having a very positive experience on it. But I certainly don't want to recommend it to anybody because, you know,
it's personal preference.
Absolutely, yeah, personal preference. You know, and my personal preference is to eat. One thing I will say, and that's that I don't eat. I eat the cheaper supermarkets because they come wrapped, shrink wrapped, vacuum wrapped. So I eat it immediately on opening it. So there is very little exposure to any potential pathogens. What I wouldn't do is eat meat came from a butcher's shop because it's obviously presented in the window and it's not wrapped. So that would be advice, I think, to be perfectly honest. If you're going to do it, make sure you get the shrink wrapped meat. So I can go into detail here. This is not an advertisement for Aldi. However, Aldi is where I shop, and the 300 grams of lamb steak, they cost £4.49, and the ribeye sirloin rump, which I think are 227 grams or 8 ounces, they are all £3.99. So it is not as expensive as you would expect. So yeah, expense obviously is going to be one thing which puts people off. If shop around, get it right, and you should be fine.
So based on what you're saying, your theory is that something that's prepared, wrapped, so it's completely kept away from oxidization, etc., is potentially a better option than to go for stuff that's been on display. That's the general point you're taking in terms of people to consider as such. Yes,
that is my own personal opinion. Yes, but it is a personal opinion. Excuse me. There is not enough research been done on raw really to confirm this either way, but it's the way that I feel safest.
Because when I researched back on the raw meat side of it, again, this is other people's advice. This is not advice from us, but this is from what I understood. Is if you get your meat, if you freeze it for 3 days, and then you thaw it only in the fridge, the pathogens and all that don't have a chance to evolve. But then you have to get used to eating like a chilled taste meat, which is slightly different, rather than letting it get up to room temperature, because obviously the longer it's sitting warming up as such, then there's more risk. So again, it's about doing the research, looking into it. But what surprised me was the number of people that are doing raw meat diets. And obviously, when I did a couple of the posts that I did, the response I got really opened my eyes that it's a bigger community, let's say, and there's a couple of Facebook communities you can join about it, get advice on and all that. But, you know, my personal experience, I went too quick, too soon. You obviously did a more steady approach and it seems to work better. I think I would do that. I'm now, my microbiome is now at a point where I can cope with the raw side of it.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm a raw beef guy. I'm not venturing onto the other meats where you, as you say, you do lamb as well.
Yeah, I would, if I had to choose between lamb steaks and beef steaks, I'd choose lamb every time. The fat content is fabulous. The fat seems to be easier to cut, maybe because it's younger. I don't know. But one thing I will say about eating raw is that you will need a very good steak knife, because there is connective tissue which you
Yeah.
can get through, but you wouldn't get through with a normal dining knife. You want a good, big, heavy serrated steak knife, like the ones that Sean Baker uses when he's eating for his YouTube channel.
And an obvious question that people watching may ask is, when you're eating out, are you able to get it raw there, or would you not do because you don't know the history of the meat, so therefore you do have it partially cooked?
Two reasons why I have it partially cooked. One is I don't want the waitress to faint, and secondly, I don't know the history of the meat. So when I go out to restaurants, and I have a select few restaurants who now know me as a carnivore, so I'm in a fairly safe environment, then yeah, I have rare beef usually, or rare steak. We went out to lunch at the bistro the other day, which is part of our racing group, and Dawn has got used to me now. She said, "Are you sure you don't want anything else apart from beef?" I said, "No, just the beef, Dawn." She produced an excellent plate of roast beef for me. Everybody was amused by it, but it got the message out there a bit. In fact, Jilly told this story. My friend Jilly told this story to DC the other day because she was there, and she said, "I didn't believe that George wouldn't eat anything apart from meat." She said, "But that's what he ate. He just ate beef." But yeah, Jilly's an 88-year-old lady who appeared on DC Learning to Live the other day on account of the fact that she is learning to live again at the age of 88, having lost her husband fairly recently, but is now engaging in life more so than she ever has done before. So if anybody wants to check Jilly out, then find her on DC Learning to Live.
Okay, good. So another thing I just want to touch upon is you're joining myself and a number of other carnivores on a Halloween themed live stream, and you've managed to find us an actual witch. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this?
I have indeed. She's a newbie to the YouTube carnivore community. She's been going about 8 weeks now, and I found her very, very soon. She uses the handle resting witch face, I think her YouTube is Free Hearts Movement, all one word. Her name is Dawn, and she's from California, and she is a practicing witch, basically. I think, So I've invited her on here. I think it was, oh my god, OMG! I'm so excited. So yeah, Dawn is very much looking forward to it, and we will have a genuine, real live witch on Halloween. Excellent.
And we've got some other potential people joining us as well. So we're hoping a few people will pop in and pop out during the live stream. So it should be good fun. I will put a forerunner trailer out prior to that. We're hoping to film it just before Halloween so we can push it out on time so everyone else can still enjoy their Halloween. And I think we're going to call it Trick or Meat.
That's a good one. Yeah, it's a good one. I like that.
So, if anyone's interested, please look out for it, because there's going to be a number of different carnivores join us in the live stream, and we'll have a bit of fun, bit light-hearted. I'm hoping you're going to dress up. Don't say what, but I'm hoping you're going to dress up as well, George.
I'm going to try to, but it's going to be quite difficult. In fact, I'm going to identify it because of the connection with the raw meat, and that is as a werewolf. How I'm going to do it, I don't yet know, but I will identify as a werewolf on that Halloween, and obviously we'll have our witch as well. I don't know what you're going to do, Carl, but don't
Mine will be a surprise.
Yeah, exactly.
Mine will be a surprise. As always.
So that's it's. Yeah, I mean, as you know, I have a mantra which I told you about last time that we spoke, and that is carnivore is fun, and that will definitely, the Halloween will definitely come under that mantra of carnivore is fun. It's going to be light-hearted with an underlying serious message, but it's going to be fun.
Awesome. So is there anything else you want to add, George, before we wrap up?
I can't think of anything. I think we've covered everything there quite nicely. Just the fact that I'm feeling in the health of my life. Oh, one thing I did forget, and that's reference to raw meat. And that is, I'm having to cut my toenails and fingernails much more often nowadays. And as you can see, I've got quite a significant bald spot on the top of my head. There is a fine growth of hair coming back on that. It's very fine, very fluffy, but it wasn't there until I started going raw carnivore. So who knows?
So you believe that's directly associated to eating raw meat is these?
It's only come back. When did we start? June. I think it was June that we started, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So basically, we're 3 months in now, and for the first time in years, my completely smooth bald spot has now got a covering of fine hair over it. I can't draw any conclusions. Will it have come back on normal carnivore? Because obviously, as I covered in our last, my body has now healed itself and is rebuilding. So it might have come back on standard carnivore as well. But is it a coincidence it's come back since I've gone raw? I don't know. But I'm just letting people know that that's what's actually
that should
happened.
help you with your werewolf outfit.
It should do, yeah. But don't think it's going to come back. I might grow a beard actually for the werewolf. Yeah, and I'll probably find a wig of some description or some. I'll find a way of doing it. I'll get Laney on the case.
Brilliant, people. Seriously, George is top drawer as always. Thank you very much. If you're interested in following our various stories and journeys, there's plenty of stuff on our channel. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. And look out for the Halloween special, the Trick or Meat. Yes, Trick or Meat. And, thank you for watching. Stay carnivore.
Goodbye for now.